If anyone is wondering how my February is going, this is how my February is going. It's not going at all, basically. This is my tracker and we're here and almost nothing is filled in. Because I've been sick, I'm still sick, I'm really tired, I can't do anything. And I've totally fallen off the wagon as well. I have washed the dishes some of these days, but I no longer know because I haven't filled it in. And I was on such a roll as well. The whole of January I cycled almost every day on my exercise bike and it was doing wonders for my legs and my knee and stuff. And then I got sick and I haven't been able to do anything for 2 weeks. And it pisses me off no end. I mean, I can take having a cold or whatever it is. I tested negative, but I don't know because now I'm starting to get these funny taste, like changes in how things taste. Everything is sour and salty. I don't know. But I can take being sick, but not being able to exercise is just doing my head in. So anyway, this is reflected in my weekly memories. To begin with, I wasn't sick, but I was stressed, which may have had something to do with it, you know, being receptive and all that. Scratchy throat, and then down the rabbit hole we go. I've covered some things up, but I just wrote about the cold and my husband having a cold. Tired, totally shit day, fucking shit, lay in bed the whole day, and that's what I'm going to put today as well. But I'm also filming this because I am so sick of not doing anything. So I thought I'd talk about where I'm at with my books. I have my March book here, started prepping it, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but mainly from the point of view of changes, because I am making some tweaks. You are used to seeing, if you've followed me or watched any other videos, you're used to seeing 2 books and like a gap in the middle with my Someday Maybe insert. I've changed this. So I've glued 2 books together. This book, the February book, is still the same that I've been using the whole month. And it looks the same as my January book. But I've glued it onto another Leuchtturm, where I've put my work projects, an art journal section, gotta talk about that in a minute, home projects here, my calendar for a year. So this is from March this year to February next year. And my Someday Maybe section in the back. So I've rewritten everything that I had in my insert and put it in the back of the back book instead. But to begin with, I had the same sort of idea where I use gaffer for everything. So I taped the 2 books together while they still had, like they were intact. They both had their covers. But I noticed that when I was writing in the back book, the back book sort of slid off the front book and sort of made this like skiing slope that I didn't much care for. So I took off the front cover of the back book and the back cover of the front book and glued them together instead, and put a piece of gaffer on the spine just to, I don't know, reinforce the attachment, I guess. And now it's like just one big book, and I really like that. I've always been one for the tomes, so this, yeah, I like it. And the reason I can make this change, because the point of having this someday maybe section is that it's really long term. I may not change this for another 10 years or do all the things that are you know, behind these tabs. But my ordinary current projects that I've got at the beginning of the back book, I can switch out. So, well, to explain the whole thing, when February is over, I will remove the February book. So I will cut off this again, the book that I glued onto the back book, and I will glue the March book onto it instead. And I will remove the back cover like this. So this will be the next setup, and then April and so on. So that's one cutting thing that I do. But I also, when I've used up all the current project pages, let's see, so this section, I can cut off that as well. So if I cut here, that's between two signatures, I can glue on a new current project section, and it needs to be 124 pages. So I'll take a fresh Leuchtturm. I will go to page 124. I will cut it in two and take this piece, you know, the front bit, and glue it onto here. So I have a new current project section to just continue working in. So that's a lot of cutting and gluing, but I tend to do that anyway because I make changes to my system, and yeah. And weirdly enough, I like a book that is a bit banged up and a bit worn and wonky, and it feels like it might fall apart, but it's not at all falling apart. It's intact, but feels really tortured. I like tortured books. I like my books like I like my men, tortured and with soulful eyes. Anyway, the same goes for the calendar section. That is also, I've counted out the pages, you see, so that it is within a signature. So that's also something I can remove as a whole thing, you know, because if you use any random pages in the book, if you want to remove them, you get this problem of pages falling out on the other side if it's the middle of a signature. But when you remove a whole signature and archive that, like for example, I might archive it in a traveler's notebook, you know, on a string, I can just remove it and put a new calendar piece here. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, I should be showing you, but it's not time to show you. It's not time to change anything. This will probably last me for at least half a year. And the art journaling section. What I was thinking is that this section I will use for random notes, like I've written here, random notes, like meetings, seminars, mind maps, stuff like that. And over that, I will doodle, you know, when the notes are no longer current and not, if they're not something I want to keep for reference or, you know, I can doodle on top, just not my ordinary drawing, because I draw in the front here to learn faces, you know, but in the back here, I don't have to make it pretty. It can just be like anything really, just it's supposed to be relaxing, you know, because my sketching in the front, that has a goal. I want to develop as, you know, an artist, whatever. But this is not supposed to be stressful in any way. So that's why I'm thinking if I doodle on top of meeting notes and stuff, the page is already sort of ruined, so I won't be as afraid of the page if it's not white. Anyway, so I put ballpoint pen doodling because that really drives home the point that this is not supposed to be nice in any way. But then I'm thinking I can go over it with my Derwent Inktense pens because I really love them, and the colours are wonderful, really vibrant. So, but not all at the same time. It's a process. So at first I do my notes, then I doodle on top, then I sort of bring out the things I like among my doodles with the Derwent Inktense pens, and possibly go over it again with acrylics if I really like the page and want to make sort of a painting out of it. But that's not the end goal, it's a possibility. And I've written here, no whatchamacallit. Well, it's not supposed to be, I'm not supposed to feel that it has to be pretty. So, yes, the current back book is made up of current work projects, the art journaling section I was just talking about, home, current projects, the calendar, and the someday maybe section. So people who have seen my other videos will see that it's basically the same system. It's just that the setup changes slightly to suit my needs. And somehow I delude myself into thinking that you're interested. So I just want to say one more thing. I actually just want to gush about this person. We watched the final season of Penny Dreadful, my husband and I, and what can I say? There was this episode. I mean, if you don't watch Penny Dreadful, you might just stop watching now, or, you know, because there's an episode with two of the characters, and it's really intense, and it really made an impression on me, and it actually started me writing again, which is no mean feat, I can tell you. In the back here where I journal, I use a lilac highlighter to mark when I've written things like fiction, when I've written ideas for my fantasy world, or, you know, written actual scenes. And it's starting to get kind of lilac back here since we watched Penny Dreadful, because this character, the creature, I can say it, Frankenstein's monster, basically. I don't know. I'm drawn to men in pale makeup. What can I say? Joker, Papa, and the creature. I'm sick in the head. And yeah, I started drawing him with mixed success. This one is kind of good, but this one not so much. And then I started like putting him into my world, my fantasy world, and realizing that, oh, he could be this boring character I've had, a throwaway character that just, he was supposed to come in and be a nuisance and then leave. And now he's developing into quite the love interest, so, you know, anything can happen. Which is also the point of my pages back here, my reflection pages, where I write about things that make an impression on me, and, you know, I reflect on it and sort of find a way to apply it either in my life or in my writing or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of Penny Dreadful back here. And also Iron Maiden, only because they have this Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner song, and that makes me think about Frankenstein. I don't know, don't ask. So that's what's been keeping me interested in life, in spite of my cold or COVID or whatever it is. And yeah, and yes, that's also what I wanted to say. I've been journaling. I've been journaling about what to use these pages for, because more and more I find myself falling off the wagon when it comes to project journaling. Normally, or the idea was in January that I would use this side of my sketching pages to project journal. And I mean, it is a good idea to journal about projects, especially the ones that are on the back burner, because you keep them in your memory and you keep them fresh somehow. And you can find next actions by journaling about them. But doing it, I mean, filling a whole page is a bit much. So I decided to do that here instead on my development pages that I've also fallen off the wagon with. This day was really bad, so I just, you know, basically told myself to fuck off. And then I drew a girl. So today I was thinking, I don't want to journal about drawing every day, because that's what I've been doing, like journaling about how it's going. I mean, I don't have that much to say every day about how I draw. I mean, I draw and it's bad or it's fairly tolerable. Instead, I thought, well, I'm going to reinterpret the sections. So the top one, the Fire Wands one, according to the tarot, is energy and general, you know, how I feel. I can journal about how I feel, if I'm tired, if I'm, you know, full of energy, because that's something that actually I have something to say about it every day. I used to track it in, you know, on these pages, just with a plus and a minus and a 0 sign to signify if I was, you know, up or down. But I think a qualitative tracking method is better, because I can sort of try to trace why I'm tired, for example. So I can look back over the days and see, oh, I've been stressed, so that's why I'm tired now. So, okay, energy and general, you know, how I feel. Then this one, I don't like it. I journal about emotions, and I'm not big on emotions. You would think otherwise, because, well, I like writing romance and stuff, but I'm not good at dealing with my own feelings and understanding them. So I'm going to use the feelings wheel and try to identify my feelings, and sort of in a more granular way, not just angry, afraid, you know, it's meant to help you make it more granular and understand yourself. And I'm also going to trace that, you know, why am I angry? Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Here, the body one works well, because I have a lot to say every day about my knee, about my back, about my everything. So that's the same as it was. And the final one, which is the mental, intellectual section. I don't really have anything to say. I've been writing about what I've been doing, where I've been using my head, like mental strain, that's the wrong word, but where I've sort of used my brain to do stuff. It's not that interesting, really. So, long story short, I'm going to put my project journaling here instead, because it has to do with the mental realm. I mull on something, on a problem, you know, why am I not doing this thing that I should be doing? Like, for example, let's see. Let's pick a project. A non-secret one. Well, clothes, why not? So ghost patches on bag. Yes, why am I not doing that? I can journal in this little space about that and try to find a solution, instead of writing a whole bloody page about it, because that's just not feasible. So, what am I going to use these pages for? I don't know. I might not use them for anything, actually, because in a sketchbook, sometimes you would just use one side, especially if you're using kohl, because even though I spray this with fixative, it tends to sort of not stay fixed. So I might just leave them empty for now, which is kind of, you know, wasteful. And at the same time, I do want to use the whole book for a month, you know, because in March I'm going to change books. So it doesn't really matter what I use the pages for. I'm going to change books anyway. And what I might do, what I tested out, where did I test it out? Here, because I tend to, my kind of, you know, how do I track my progress as an artist? I show these pictures, my drawings, to my husband, and he gets to say if he can see who it is or not. And the more times he can identify the person, the more I've progressed. That's the theory behind it. But he has this eye. He can see what's wrong with a drawing. He doesn't draw himself, but I think he could if he tried. But he can see, he has this, I don't know if it's photographic memory, but he can tell me that this forehead is wrong, and and he told me, you've made him more handsome than he is. Well, that's debatable. But he said, you know, you've made, the mouth is right, and much of the character is, I've sort of captured the character. So I'm thinking I might put his sort of review on this side, and also my own, because there's also always something I'm pleased with and not pleased with in a drawing. So I might sort of make small notes about that, like minus sign for the bad stuff, plus sign for the good stuff, and to try in the future, to take with me, to try again, to keep doing, I don't know, maybe. These are just ideas, you know. So I prepped my March book before I changed things up in the February book. So in the portrait section of my March book, I've already made these quadrants, which is kind of, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but they're there and I'll have to live with it. It's, you know, it's pencil, so I could erase them, but I don't know if, you know, if I want to do that. But I'm reusing the same sections in my March book, but since it's a month with 5 weeks, they take up much more room, which means that I'll have much less room for random journaling here in the back. So normally I would start journaling on page 180, and now it's 214, which is a lot less. Now in January and in February, I haven't really used up all the journaling pages, so it might not be a bad thing that I have less pages for random notes in the March book. We'll see. If I run out of pages, I might add a signature from an old butchered Leuchtturm. I can always do that. I can also always, you know, cut it up, glue it in. That's my thing. But throughout February, I've been inking these pages, the daily doodle pages, the development pages where I write about, you know, fire, water, earth and air, and the reflection pages where I write about things that make an impression on me. And I've been prepping the journaling pages in the back with some washi and stuff. And in the front here I have my usual Dutch doors for my weeklies and next sections, and I have my memory pages, which are also inked, and my daily lists pages, also inked. So the only thing that isn't inked is my planning booklet in the front, the sketching section, and the random journaling. And it really helps to, I mean, inking a whole book is a chore. So I'm glad I don't have to do that. But it's also nice to have some white space for making my portraits. And now you're sick of hearing me talk, especially with my cold voice. So yeah, I guess the takeaway, the take-home message from this is that even though you've sectioned out your pages and pre-drawn these boxes and stuff, you can still change how you use them if you change your mind, if it's not working for you. So that's sort of my message. And of course that you should check this guy out in everything he's acted in.